On a small farm in Japan, Chi draws a landscape alongside her dog Tantan and her horse. The girl remembers that her magic bracelet will break when any of her requests are fulfilled, and says that this will happen when she is reunited with her mother, who has left for New York. Later, Chi goes to her father Akira's research lab so that he can tell her that dinner is ready, and when he sees his daughter, the man shows off his newest discovery. The scientist reveals that he and his assistant Daisuke found a fossil of a dinosaur egg when they went to explore the deep caves of the Jomon people. In addition, the girl's father says that they found a small clay sculpture, which seems to have been made more than 5,000 years ago. However, the scientist explains that all dinosaurs became extinct hundreds of millions of years ago, so some of the remaining species may have survived alongside humans in the abandoned cave. At this point, Daisuke says that he was able to decode the sigils they found, and when they analyzed the writing, they came across accounts of primitive peoples who talked about a giant god who lived in the depths of a cave. A few hours later, she is drawing in the living room of her house, while Akira is talking to his mother at the dining table. The woman explains that since the researcher's divorce, the girl has become increasingly isolated and has even stopped going to school. During the conversation, Chi goes to her father and tells him that she wants to take part in the scientific research they are going to carry out in the caves where the dinosaur fossils were found. Before he could explain why his daughter couldn't accompany him, the man was interrupted by his wife, who told him that this was a great idea. Realizing that he has no choice, Akira decides to allow his daughter to accompany him, and after a few hours of traveling through the mountainous regions of Japan, they reach the center of the forest where the cave is located. While checking his compass, Fukutomi realizes that the needle is spinning non-stop, and since they won't be able to find the place on their own, they ask for the help of Shinoda, who is panning for gold in one of the waterfalls. After gathering together, the group travels down the river in their boat, and the old man plays his instruments so that he can honor the presence of the god of the forest. Now that they have paid respect to the divine presence of the region, the explorers enter the abandoned cave, where they find a stone pedestal that was built thousands of years ago. Soon after, Shinoda begins his sacred prayer, and Akira explains that this was the place where he found the clay sculpture. The man also reveals that the ancestors who lived in the cave left various ancient writings around the walls, along with a golden dinosaur, which served as an object of worship. Excited, Shinoda says he's never gotten this far in that place, and asks Chi what they should do from now on. When he hears this, Fukutomi gets scared and tells him that they could end up being cursed by the divine beings if they stay there too long. Despite this, Chi agrees that they should continue with the expedition, but along the way, the girl gets a severe headache and says that she is hearing increasingly loud voices. Trying to stop the spiritual presences from affecting the little girl, Shinoda tries to get them away from the group, but to no avail, and the man begins to levitate away from the researchers. Desperate, Akira rushes to rescue his companion, but they can't keep up with the old man and lose sight of him in a few seconds. During the search, Chi says she hears a voice coming from behind the waterfall, and as she gets closer, she ends up falling into a hole that was being camouflaged by the rocks. While trying to rescue the girl, all the other researchers fall into the crater of the waterfall, causing the group to slide down a large cavern of smooth ice. Soon after, the team reaches the end of the route, where they come across Shinoda, who is feeling excited as he is facing nothing less than a dinosaur egg inside a crystal pyramid. Curious, the researchers approach the incubation site, and Chi tells them that the mysterious voice is asking them to rescue it from there. Believing his daughter's words, Akira and his companions lean against the pyramid, which opens instantly, allowing the researchers to collect the egg. At the same time, the pedestal in front of them emits a powerful glow, and Shinoda claims that the ancestral god has detected evil in the heart of one of them, so the whole cave begins to collapse. Desperate, the group of explorers try to survive the falling rubble, while running to avoid being hit by the crystal stalactites. Quickly, Shinoda shouts for the team to leave the cave immediately, and as he will need to stay to calm the deity, he hands his ancestral amulet to Chi. The old man then sits down in front of the magic crystal to begin his ritual, and opens a gigantic ravine in the ground, which causes the glow from the pedestal to reach the surface. A week later, Chi and Akira observe the dinosaur egg in the laboratory, and when they meet the researcher, the press chief says that he was forced to contact the experts in New York. When she hears this, the girl is extremely excited, as she knows that her mother Naomi is finally going to visit her. The next day, Chi anxiously awaits the woman's arrival alongside Akira and Tantan, while holding a bouquet of flowers she brought as a present for her. Upon arriving at the scene, Naomi orders the man to hurry up and take her to the dinosaur egg. Annoyed, Akira's mother says that Chi has been waiting for her mother to arrive for a long time, but the woman says that she hasn't come to visit her family, and won't even accept her daughter's gift. In the incubation room, Naomi explains that she wants to transplant the dinosaur's nucleus into a sea turtle egg so that they can create a new individual in their laboratory. The scientists then begin their experiment and make an opening in the prehistoric object, allowing the woman to collect the nucleus. After some tests, Naomi confirms that the organism is still alive and is anxious about the possibility of bringing the dinosaurs back to life. Later, the family gathers around the dinner table, but she decides to leave so that she can look after her animal companions. Back in the laboratory, the scientists observe the egg cells together with the girl, at which point they realize that the organism has begun its cell division. With all the procedures done, all that's left to do is wait for the dinosaur to be born, and during the wait, she meets up with her father. Akira explains that if a real prehistoric animal comes out of that egg, his daughter will be responsible for taking care of it, and although she accepts the request, the little girl asks her father not to forget her. A few days later, the scientists notice a change in the dinosaur's heart rate and try to regulate the oxygen levels to prevent it from perishing. However, nothing seems to work as expected, and the devices warn that the animal's heartbeat has stopped. Realizing that they may have just eliminated the last remaining dinosaur on the planet, the researchers are devastated, and she decides to enter the room to approach the glass cabin. Trying to convince the prehistoric animal to wake up, the girl takes Shinoda's amulet and uses the ocarina to play a special song for the baby. Thanks to this, the guinea pig's heartbeat returns, and everyone is amazed to see the egg finally being hatched. Quickly, the scientists rush into the room and watch as the dinosaur is born and walks towards Chi. Excited, the little girl claims to be the animal's mother and comes up to hug it, saying that its name is Rex. At that moment, Akira grabs the dinosaur and says that it could contain diseases that are dangerous to humans, but as he says this, he ends up being bitten by the creature. Trying to calm the situation, Chi holds the animal and puts it back in the glass booth. Despite this, the baby is still agitated and jumps around the lab counters trying to find out what's going on. Panicked, Fukutomi says they can't mistreat the dinosaur, as its life is worth hundreds of millions of dollars. Before the panic could escalate any further, Chi took Rex into her arms and carried him to his room, leaving everyone in the room completely amazed. As the days go by, all the news networks comment on Akira's great discovery, and Fukutomi reports directly from the laboratory. The problem is that, having been born this way, Rex hasn't yet learned how to eat properly, so Naomi asks Chi to eat a green bell pepper in front of the baby. As she has never liked this food, the girl is reluctant, and to encourage her, the woman bites into one of the peppers. Watching her mother, Chi manages to pull herself together, and after biting into the chili, she offers it to the dinosaur, who begins to eat quietly, leaving everyone relieved. From then on, the young woman begins various training sessions with Rex, who becomes happier and happier at his human mother's side. While playing mini golf together, the little dinosaur ends up throwing one of the balls into the waterfall, and falls into the water while trying to retrieve it. Soon afterwards, Chi goes on a picnic with her baby and uses her snacks as treats so that she can train the animal to obey her commands. As a reward for her new friend's performance, the girl presents him with one of her magic bracelets, saying that the object could make one of the dinosaur's dreams come true. Over time, the baby has become a great icon of success, leading to various themed products and exhibitions being created around the country. In addition, Chi and Rex take part in dozens of famous commercials, but during the recordings, the girl asks them to end the day's productions as her dinosaur friend is completely exhausted. Annoyed, Daisuke says that this can't happen, as they have numerous professional contracts to fulfill, and in order for the dinosaur to continue his work, he begins to mistreat him. Thanks to this, Rex becomes furious and bites the body of the man, who screams in despair. Chi then rushes to hold the baby, causing her to receive an injury to her hand. At home, Chi receives help from her grandmother, who is tending to her injuries, and asks her granddaughter what they can do to make Rex less stressed. The girl says that the dinosaur's anger has gotten much worse in recent days, and theorizes that he may be missing his real mother. About a month later, Rex feels increasingly sad outside his habitat, and sniffs his bracelet to remember Chi. Wanting to be reunited with his human mother, the baby head butts several times on the railing, which ends up being destroyed, allowing him to reach the outside. Seeing all the scenery around him, Rex is amazed and heads towards Chi's house. The dinosaur then makes his way to the farm's barn, where he encounters the girl's dog and horse, who begin to intimidate him into leaving. Feeling threatened, Rex starts to get aggressive, but when he smells his owner's scent on the baby's bracelet, Tantan becomes friendly again and starts to play with the animal, who manages to calm down. In her room, Chi hears her dog barking, and when she looks out of the window, she sees the animals running across the lawn together. Soon after, Tantan takes Rex to the museum, and after finding one of the realistic replicas of a T-Rex, The baby is amazed, as it's the first time he's seen what his real mother looks like. Just then, Chi arrives on the scene, and before she can interact with her friend, the dinosaur falls to the ground, extremely weak from the stress of last few days. She quickly runs towards Rex, who begins to cry after realizing that the statue was not his real mother, and when she realizes this, the girl is even more devastated. At the dinner table, Akira and Naomi talk about the current state of the dinosaur, and Daisuke says that they can't stop the commercials under any circumstances, as the cost of keeping the animal alive is too high. Even so, the couple decide that they need to give the baby a rest, but upon hearing this, the scientist becomes enraged and resigns. In addition, the man claims that he owns half the rights to Rex's image, and after threatening the researchers, he leaves. As Christmas approaches, Chi wanders around the city to look at all the toys themed to her dinosaur, which has already become the biggest attraction in all of Japan. On arriving home, the girl is intercepted by a group of policemen and is confused about what might be going on. Inside the residence, Akira receives a visit from Daisuke, who orders him to give up his half of Rex's rights so that the baby can be used in the National Dinosaur Museum. So that he can corner the man even more, Daisuke reveals that he has come accompanied by 4 members of the country's scientist management, and for this reason, his orders cannot be ignored. Trying not to make the situation worse, Akira asks the man to wait until the next day so that he can talk to his daughter and prepare Rex's farewell. Afterwards, the executives left the house together with Daisuke, without even realizing that Chi was listening to the whole conversation from behind the door. Realizing that her dinosaur friend is not safe in that place, the girl meets up with him and tells him that they must return to the cave and reunite with the baby's real mother. In addition, Chi says that she doesn't feel any affection for Naomi, since the woman never pays any attention to her, and for this reason, she reveals that she will be living next to Rex in the big cave. So the little girl gets together with her animal companions, and together they set off towards the main road. Soon after, Chi thanks him for everything Tantan and her horse have done for her, and after saying goodbye, she hides next to Rex in one of the vehicles, continuing her journey. During the journey, the dinosaur begins to shiver because of the cold, and the young woman decides to put several coats on her friend to protect him from the low temperatures. At the scientist's house, Naomi finishes preparing the Christmas present she intended to give her daughter, but just then, Akira appears and tells her that Chi has disappeared along with Rex. Concerned, the woman asks why this might have happened, and the researcher says that her daughter might be trying to return to the prehistoric cave. In the evening, the town holds a big celebration for the holidays, and Chi has fun with Rex as they ride around the town in their carriage. What they don't know is that they're being watched by the criminals, and when they come across the pair, Daisuke orders them to be captured immediately. However, the executives say that Chi deserves to have a happy Christmas Eve, and that they will only take the dinosaur away after midnight. Irritated, the scientist tries to reason with the group, but he is quickly intimidated, making him decide to obey them. In order to get some food for Rex, Chi asks him to stay put in one of the stores, so that he can disguise himself with the decorations for long enough. The problem is that the dinosaur ends up losing his patience, and when he notices a child approaching along with his mother, he lets out a mighty roar, which scares both of them at once. When she hears the screams, Chi runs to rescue her friend, but it's too late and Rex starts wandering around the party on his own. Within minutes, all the television channels were reporting on the pair's disappearance, prompting the authorities to begin a search around the site. Despite this, Chi manages to reunite with Rex, and after putting a new layer of coats on the baby, she has fun with her friend, where they dance through the snow and watch the Christmas carols, along with the executives. Soon afterwards, the pair eat in one of the restaurants while they are still being watched by the businessmen, but at that moment, a woman approaches with her dog, who starts barking in the dinosaur's direction. Feeling threatened again, Rex lets out a roar at the animal, causing the owner to scream in despair and bump into one of the waiters. This causes one of the men to have his head pushed towards the food, and in a rage, he throws the food everywhere, starting a huge chaos in the restaurant. Quickly, Chi and Rex run towards the exit, but before they can get away, they are intercepted by Daisuke's team. Now that they have confirmation that the dinosaur belongs to them, the criminals try to capture the animal, while the girl is held back so that she can't get in their way. At that moment, one of the men ends up being hit by a soccer ball, which was thrown by Kenta, one of Chi's colleagues, allowing the girl to be freed. Soon afterwards, the young man orders the young girl to flee alongside Rex, and shouts for all the children in the Christmas choir to join him, causing the villains to be hit by dozens of snowballs. Seizing her chance, Chi flees the scene with her dinosaur friend, and together they try to disguise themselves in order to board a bus heading for the forest. During the trip, Rex feels hungry, and when he notices the snacks on the cabin table, he begins to devour the food, causing everyone around to recognize the duo who had disappeared. So that they can continue their journey, Chi meets up with Kenta, who uses his snowmobile to rescue them. However, the trio is quickly surprised by the executives, who show up in their vehicles to chase Rex. In a few seconds, the group manages to surround the fugitives, and they start colliding with the boys' snowmobile to slow them down. Noticing his opponents approaching, Chi shouts for Rex to use his golf skills, and after receiving the command, the dinosaur strikes one of the pursuers with his tail. Furious at having been knocked down, the man fires his tranquilizer dart, but the projectile ends up hitting one of his companions, who has a major accident with his vehicle. Soon afterwards, the criminals split up to surround the trio once again, and before they can react, they end up being captured by one of their net traps. Despite this, Kenta doesn't give up, and after shouting at the pair to get down, he runs through a wall of snow that was hidden between some billboards, causing one of the criminals to crash into the structure. Realizing that he is the last one left in the chase, the man speeds off in the direction of the trio, but along the way, he loses sight of his targets. Taking advantage of the criminal's distraction, Kenta uses a snow tractor to create a ramp in the middle of the road, which causes the man to fly off and fall headfirst into one of the snowdrifts. Finally, the young man takes his friend up in a hot air balloon, and after handing Chi her Christmas present, he starts pulling the stakes out of the ground. Just then, Daisuke arrives at the scene in a rage, and jumps up to grab onto the basket of the vehicle. Quickly, Kenta uses his soccer ball to hit the man, who falls to the ground, allowing Chi to escape safely alongside Rex. After a few hours on the road, the pair stop to rest in a small igloo, and noticing that the dinosaur is despondent, the girl tries to play her ocarina to make him happy. As she does so, Chi begins to hear music being played in the distance, and goes out to check where the sound is coming from. Outside, the girl sees a powerful magical glow around the forest, and after a few seconds, she is surprised by her family, who are accompanied by Shinoda. Now that she has been reunited with her daughter, Naomi is overcome with emotion and hugs Chi as she cries desperately. At that moment, the girl's bracelet breaks and Akira reveals to his wife that his daughter's great dream was to reconnect with her mother. Upon hearing this, Naomi becomes even more emotional, and now that they are together, the family returns to the cave together with Shinoda, so that they can take Rex to his real mother. After approaching the pedestal, the group crosses a great magical passage, which takes them to a new reality, where the prehistoric world remains completely untouched. While observing the landscape, Rex realizes that his magic bracelet has broken, and Chi says that the figure they are seeing could be the baby's real mother, so his request has come true. Shinoda then begins to lead the dinosaur towards the great forest, but the animal refuses to continue and turns back to its owner. Seeing Rex's reluctance, Chi tries to comfort him and tells him that from now on, he can live with his real mother. Despite this, the baby cries at the farewell, and after giving her dinosaur friend one last hug, the girl returns to her family. Thrilled, the animal joins Shinoda once again, and together they set off into the great forest so that Rex can finally be reunited with his mother and live happily in his true home. So what did you think of this movie? Leave it in the comments below. And if you liked the video, like and subscribe for more movie recaps. See you next time.